Hello and welcome. It's been quite a while since I've done a sit-down book recommendations video, but I just finished a book yesterday that has one of my absolute favorite, if not my all-time favorite, book trope or plot device in it, and I've been talking about it with people and I want to talk about that book and books like it, so I figured let's do a recommendation video. So I have a whole stack of books that feature an unlikely friendship between a human and some kind of non-human. So robot, alien, monster, demon, some kind of non-human character. And while most of these books may have a romance in them, I want to focus on the friendship element in these books. So buckle up, I have a pretty long list. I do also have more from farther back in the books that I've read. These are only books that I've read in the last 2 years or so, but there's definitely more from before that. So I could always do a part 2 for older books if anyone wants to see some of those. Also, side note, we're trying a new filming setup here so that I can actually film in the evening. I normally like having my bookshelves in the background, but that means that I have to rely on daylight with my windows, and I just don't normally have time to film videos in the morning, so I'm trying this out with just using my lamp. So it might be a little dark, a little wonky looking. We're gonna try this out and see how it works. Anyways, book recommendations. So the book that I just finished yesterday that inspired me to finally make this video was Project Hail Mary. This book went directly onto my favorite shelf. It is such a fantastic book. I gave it a full 5 stars. This one is a dual timeline. It's going between the main character's present time, where he is aboard this spaceship. He wakes up and has no memory of who he is or where he's from or why he's there, or even that he was in space to begin with. He wakes up and has to figure out, like, oh shit, I'm in space and not even in my own solar system. Where the fuck am I? How did I get here? And the other timeline is his memories. As he slowly starts to regain them, we see glimpses of what led him to be where he is. He has to figure out why he's there and slowly starts to learn that there is a alien life form that is eating the star in our solar system, and if they don't fix it, then the entire planet is going to go into an ice age and die. So he was sent on a mission to go find where this alien life form was from and try and find a stop to it, and on the way he meets somebody else in space and they become good pals. I'm not going to say who it is because I think it's a really fun reveal when you learn who this person is, but the friendship between these two characters just brought me so much joy. Getting to watch them learn how to speak each other's language and about their cultures and everything. It was so fascinating and beautiful. I had such a good time reading this book. It was a pure delight from start to finish. It made me laugh. It made me bawl my eyes out multiple times. It was so good. I loved this book so much, and it was a perfect example of why I love this plot device so much. This next book I also read yesterday, and that is Honor Among Thieves. This one takes place in the future. I think it's like the year 2140 or something like that, and every year 100 people are randomly selected to leave Earth on these sentient space whales that are also spaceships on the inside. There's actually a really cool illustration here. So this right here, they are an alien species that look like whales, but you can actually live aboard them as a spaceship and have like full control over them and everything and all that cool stuff. This was such an interesting read and I had a fantastic time reading it. The people who are selected to go on this space journey, they bond with the ship as well, so they can feel each other's feelings and hear their thoughts and everything. It's a very beautiful sacred bond. This was such an interesting read. I loved learning about how these space alien whales worked. They were fascinating, and there's a whole lot more going on behind the scenes as well that the main character was not told about and that she has to gradually figure out as she goes. There are secrets being kept and a lot of people being kept in the dark about some pretty serious things that we started to unravel towards the end of the book. This was a very interesting read. I had a great time reading this one and I can't wait to get to the sequels. And again, really interesting friendship between this human and this giant space whale. It was awesome. I'm gonna stick with all of the sci-fis first just to kind of keep this in some kind of organization. So we'll do all the sci-fi first and then some fantasy afterwards. So the next sci-fi on the list here is the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. The first book is All Systems Red. This one is a series of novellas. They're pretty short, although there is a full-length novel now that follows a security robot who is very deadly and can kill no problem. But the robot has hacked its own mainframe in order to go rogue, but not for evil reasons. It literally just wants to be able to sit in peace and watch a bunch of soap operas and listen to music and read and not have to interact with humans. But unfortunately, it becomes attached to this handful of humans and they just keep getting in trouble, and it has to go save them all the time. This robot is so grumpy and sarcastic and hilarious, and it likes to pretend that it doesn't care about the humans, but it totally does. This is such a fun series. I really love this series so much. I really want to reread them at some point soon, now that I finally own the books. This is a standout series and definitely worth the hype that it gets. Next up is A Psalm for the Wilde build. This is one of my all-time favorite books. This is a soft, cozy sci-fi about a traveling tea monk who just goes around to all these cities and sets up a little on-the-go tea shop for people to come and vent their problems, basically have a little like therapy session while the main character makes them the perfect cup of tea. But the main character is feeling lost and like they have no purpose, so they decide to go on a pilgrimage into the wild side of the planet where the robots live, and there's been no contact between humans and robots for I think about 200 years at this point in time. And while they're out there, they end up meeting a robot who is on his way to the human side of things to ask if humans need anything. So the two of them decide to pair up and they go on this journey together, and this beautiful friendship comes from it. This book and the sequel are both fantastic. They are my comfort reads. Whenever I'm kind of in a place where I'm feeling lost myself, I pick this up and reread it, and it makes me feel better every single time. This book is really about the purpose of life and individual life, and how we have such huge pressure on ourselves to feel like our lives have to mean something, whereas just being alive is meaning enough, and to learn to be content with that. I absolutely adore these books so much. I think I've read this first book like 4 or 5 times now, and I will continue to do so whenever the mood strikes, which actually it's kind of striking, so I'm probably going to read this again soon. but yeah, phenomenal book, also very short. Such a sweet, cute read with a very nice message behind it as well. And then we've got The Sound of Stars by Alechia Dow, also one of my favorite books of all time. Hi, Tony. Oh, hi, buddy. He just like reached out his paw to just rest against me. He's so cute. You're the sweetest. Oh my god. Anyways, so The Sound of Stars by Alechia Dow. This one takes place shortly after aliens have invaded Earth and they have outlawed any kind of art. So no music, no books, no drawing, nothing. Art or any kind of emotional expression is completely illegal. This book follows 2 main characters. One is a human and the other one is one of the aliens who have invaded Earth. The human main character is running an illegal library out of her apartment building, and the alien main character, while he is part of the invasion, he's also deeply fascinated by the emotional expression of humans, especially through music. So the two of them end up meeting, and at one point he discovers the main character's secret library and decides to help her. The friendship that comes from here was so sweet. I loved watching the two of them get to know each other and learn each other's cultures, and the alien main character experiencing emotion for the first time. It was such a beautiful story. It filled me with so much joy. The setting feels quite bleak, of course, but these characters are filled with so much hope and love and emotion that it's just such a beautiful read, and their friendship is fantastic. And last for the sci-fis is In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. This one follows a human who's been living in this essentially gigantic treehouse for his whole life with his adopted father and a couple of robots. There is a hilariously sadistic nurse robot, as well as a vacuum who is just desperate for love. The 3 of them are so adorable together, and then one day they end up coming across an android who I believe has no memory of its life, I'm pretty sure. I kind of forget the details now, but the 4 of them have to venture off into the city to save the main character's father. This was such a sweet story, and the robot characters are hysterical. Like, they are so funny. The banter in this book is so good. I loved every single second of it. It also made me bawl my eyes out, which it's TJ Klune, so of course it's going to, but that's besides the point. I've cried at every book of his that I've read, so. But yeah, these characters are so much fun. It's a really interesting plot and just overall a fantastic book. but the friendship at the core is really what makes it what it is. One more sci-fi, although technically I can't call this a recommendation because I have not yet read it, but I have seen the movie and it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I've read that while the book and the movie are quite different, the friendship between the main character and the alien is also present in the book. So that is Spaceman of Bohemia. The movie is called Spaceman, starring Adam Sandler. It's not a comedy. I was really surprised to see Adam Sandler not doing a comedy, but this does have humor in it, but it's not like a full comedy. But this one follows I believe a Czech astronaut going on a solo mission, gonna be gone for several years fully by himself, and while he's out there he encounters a sentient space spider named Hanus, and the two of them just become buddies. And it was adorable. At least the movie was. I have no clue if the book is as cute as the movie was, but I really hope that it is. I do want to read this book very, very soon, and I really hope that it's everything that I want it to be. Moving on to the fantasy books, we're gonna start with Taming Demons for Beginners. Now this series does become a romance, but it is a super slow burn romance, and the first book there is like zero romance at all, so it's really just focusing on the main character and this demon becoming friends. So this one is about a woman whose parents have just passed away, and she is set to receive the inheritance, but her uncle has kind of stole the inheritance from her, and she's currently living with him trying to figure out how to get it back. And while she's living there, she discovers that he is running a illegal demon selling ring in the basement, and she ends up becoming friends with one of the demons that is trapped there. This was such a fun series. It's Canadian as well, which I love. This demon character is very cat-coded. He's prickly and sarcastic and wants things done his way, wants affection when he wants it, but otherwise get away from him kind of thing. Very cat-like. He's adorable and hilarious, and I love their banter. These two characters are just so much fun. This whole series is fantastic, but especially that first book where they're just getting to know each other is such a good time. It's been a good few years since I read this series, but I think about it all the time. I love it so much, and I can't wait to read more of this author's books at some point or another. Phenomenal books, and I love the friendship between the main character and the demon. They're so good. Next up is Sorcery of Thorns. This one, I kind of forget what the plot's about, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, this is the one where the magical grimoires sometimes turn into monsters, and the main character works for the library that looks after them. It's a fantastic book, but the thing that I want to focus on here is the friendship between the sorcerer, who's the love interest in this book, and his demon companion. The two of them have been soul bonded since the love interest was a very young child, and they have this beautiful friendship that shouldn't really exist. Pretty sure that normally the demon companion is not happy to be soulbound to their sorcerer, and it's one of those things where if the demon were to get loose, it would definitely kill the sorcerer, but this demon basically raised the sorcerer character in this, and so they have this really cute, almost like father-son relationship that I just adored so much. I love those characters. I loved their friendship and the love that you see with them. They are just so wonderful, and definitely the best part of this book for me. And then with The Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst. This one's gotten so much hype for very good reason. I loved this book, but I feel like the friendship between the main character and her sentient spider plant kind of gets overlooked. When for me, that was the best part of this book. It was so much fun. This one follows our main character, who is a librarian in the main city, and one day there is a revolution and people start to burn down the library to protest the hoarding of knowledge by the rich and the elite. So the main character, being somebody who obviously loves books with her whole heart and soul, she grabs as many spell books as she can possibly carry, as well as her sentient spider plant, gets into a little canoe and just sails off to the first place that she can think of, which ends up being the island where she was born. And since it's very illegal to have possession of spellbooks if you're not registered, she has to hide them, so she sets up a jam shop to cover up the fact that she has spellbooks hidden with her, while also using the spellbooks to try and heal the island as well. This was a delightful read. It was so cozy and so sweet. The romance was fantastic, and again, the friendship between her and the spider plant is just so good, so funny, and just overall absolute delight. I can't wait to read more from this author. The writing style was fantastic, the plot was great, everything was fantastic, so definitely a solid read. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries follows a scholar who has spent her life studying fairies. She ends up going to this very wintry setting to study local fae there, and she's joined by her academic rival. The friendship in here more so comes into the second book. It's towards like the middle to end of this book, where she meets this little sprite pixie creature. They meet in the first book, but the second book is where you see their friendship bloom, and it made me so happy. I can't think of its name. It started with a P, I think. Either way, it's this little like stick looking sprite that guards a tree. It's adorable. It's very childlike and kind of mischievous, and I think their friendship is just so sweet and so cute, and by far the best part of this already fantastic series. I really hope that there's more of this character in the third book that comes out soon, or is it already out? Either way, I haven't read the third book yet, and I really hope that this character is in the third book as well. And then finally, the last book on this list is To Shape a Dragon's Breath. This one is about dragon riding, and it was such a cool book. It's set in a not quite our world, but it's like our world adjacent, and the main character is indigenous, and she finds a dragon egg, and when that dragon is born, it is bonded to her. But the colonizers require that anyone who finds a dragon egg has to attend their school to learn how to be a dragon rider, otherwise they will kill her dragon. This was such a fantastic book. I love this main character. She truly gives no fucks about what anyone has to say about her or the way that she acts or how she should behave. She does not give a flying fuck, and I love that so much. And the bond between her and her dragon is just so beautiful. The dragon can't speak with words, but it very much has a personality. It was so funny, and yeah, just overall such a fantastic book. I had a great time reading this one. I can't wait to read the sequel as well and see where this story goes and get to watch this dragon get older and grow up and watch their friendship become even more special. It's going to be such a good series. But yeah, those are at least some of the books that I have that feature an unlikely friendship between a human and a non-human character. If you have any recommendations, please let me know down below. I would love to hear your favorites, and I will read pretty much anything that has this trope in it. And again, I'm sure I have more from books that I've read from years past, so if you would like to see a part 2, let me know. I'll be more than happy to do that. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I will catch you guys later on.